У меня чуть-чуть голос такой, по какой-то причине, не знаю почему, но его маловато осталось. Поэтому, надеюсь, вы меня будете слышать. Я по-русски начал, but I have my thing in English, so I guess I'll probably do it in English. I don't have any of those books left. I gave them all away. It's a green book like yours, a little smaller. It's green like grass, and it says hedges. So if you look in your workbook, it says hedges of protection in the title. I think it was Tim Hawkins who once said somebody was going to pray for him for Lord will set the hedge of protection and stuff. That's from King James. And he's like, hedge? What about the cement wall or some better? I mean, give me a better protection. I mean, that's humor stuff, but the hedge of protection or the hedges is kind of just a name, meaning you have something valuable. You want to build a wall around it or grow a wall around it or something like this. This is the lecture to scare you enough, basically. I'm kidding, but kinda, really. Sometimes when we get married or when we are in a Russian, religious, not Russian, whatever community, get married, we kind of feel or act as kids in the house surrounded by wild forest that just don't get, well, yeah, I'll go out. You don't. You better be ready. You gotta have understanding of what's coming, that stick whenever you spoke, right? Because somebody can jump on you and stuff. So you gotta have precautions, basically. So this is a lecture about how do we survive in a wild and dangerous world that actually hunts families down, literally. If they cannot get the inner out, like a heart out of marriage, to leave a shell, they'll just try to shoot you. And that's real stuff. So like I said, it's kind of not to scare you, but still to scare you. To understand, we don't just get out. I still remember that little commercial on the radio when the guy enters the cruise ship or something like this, and somebody's greeting him, giving him the booklet and says, hey, welcome, cruise ship, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And there's music playing. And as soon as he gets on board, there's like, dude, come down. There's shooting around. This is not a cruise ship. This is a warship. There was a chaos all around. He's like, what's going on? He was going to do a cruise, and it's a warship. It's somewhere in the middle and right in the middle of battle. So basically, it's kind of this. I mean, marriage is great and super. If you're together and you have God, there's nothing better to think about. Marriage is a great thing. But you're getting into the world, unless you're going to live in the forest, in Montana on a hill, on a mountain, and never get out, yeah, you'll meet some dangers for sure. And I like that word in one of the things that you're going to be listening, when it says subtle. The enemy, the snake in the garden, was subtle. He didn't kind of appear really like a dragon with fire. No, he just started talking a little bit, so you never understand. So the danger, a lot of danger is just because it's subtle. It doesn't really jump on you. You understand a little later, like, oh, where are we at? So you guard something that is valuable. Unless you really understand that your relationships are valuable, you won't guard them. So the more you understand us, and that's it. I don't have anyone else. You are one for me and I'm one for you. That's it. This is valuable. There's nobody else in the whole world but you, but us. And then whatever you grow together, whatever you built and grow together, this is valuable stuff. I spoke a lot of it just recently in preaching and stuff. There's a lot of things that you can buy with dollars. A lot of stuff. A lot of good stuff you can't buy with money. You can always get more money if needed, just work extra. well, yeah, you have to use more time, but you can get more money if needed. You can save more and you can earn more. And then, okay, here we go. Little patience, in a half a year, yeah, you'll have that sum, whatever you need. There are some things you can't buy with money. There's time that just goes away all the time, and you cannot get more time. How many $1,000 you pay? You cannot get more time into the life. So the valuable is you, your family, your relationship. And that should be fenced around, at least fenced. And you got to watch. Hedge, isn't there a Disney, not Disney, some kind of a cartoon about...
Hedge.
Over the Hedge? Yeah, it was like some animals that... I never watched it. I know it exists,
really
and I know it's
good.
funny.
Yeah.
That's about it.
It's low key, but it's good.
Yeah, it's from Disney or from Hollywood, so it is low-key. But
No, like it's a cartoon that's not really popular. Not really people know what it is.
oh, really?
They saw it once and then they're like,
Whatever.
That's
Okay.
good, yeah.
But I think that's the thing about it. And animals try to get in, and they even over under the hedge, whatever. So even if you build a hedge, things will try to get in and out. You'll have to watch your hedge basically, and be a good pest guy or whatever. I'm throwing all the analogies, but basically, if we look, 50% of divorces happen in first 7 years. So you, out of first 7 years, whoa, you're according to the world standards, at least after 7 years, you're gaining a lot of ground basically, because you got the first year, you got the second year, then you got the fifth year, and then you get the seventh year behind you. Whoa, that's milestones basically. So just keep that in mind. And all of those people, they never planned for miserable life or divorce or anything like this. Nobody get married to understand, well, for 3 years and then we'll get divorced. Nobody does that. I mean, unless they're in a weird stage. So, Proverbs, and I'll read that in Russian. Притча 24 глава, 30 стих. «Проходил я мимо поля человека ленивого и мимо виноградника человека скудоумного, которого ума мало. И вот все это заросло терном, поверхность его покрылась крапивою, и каменная ограда его обрушилась». Достаточно. То есть, he walks around and sees the rock wall, whatever, the wall, it's down, there's a lot of bad grass and nothing grows there because the guy there's not enough in his mind and he doesn't plan, he is lazy. So don't be those people who just walk around and don't plan anything. Plan ahead. This is basically whatever all these lectures, I'm trying to help you to talk a lot and plan ahead. Talk a lot and plan ahead. This is what it is. So the protection is what you plan ahead. You don't just quickly start building something whenever stuff is ready jumping over. You build it so it's ready whenever stuff happens. Okay? And it's nothing super hard or embarrassing or like so sophisticated. None. All of these little things are little things. But if we are aware and we have them in place, they guard us. I mean, you can say, well, we pray every day for Lord to help us. Sure, and that's the first thing, of course. But then He guides us and tells us, well, now look, you did this, and that's dangerous, so you don't do this. And then you did this, otherwise this will happen. So He'll basically give you enough wisdom to place stuff around yourself, so you are ready and protected too. Then you can function. Then whatever is inside of that wall can actually grow, and if you build something, if you plant something, then it actually would survive and it would bring fruit. So the first thing is the truth. The enemy normally or all the time trying to give us enough lies to break us down. So the truth is our marriage is from the Lord. Are you 100% sure you are meant and this is God's will? Did you seek the God's will basically for your marriage? Did you pray and say, yes, Lord, this is from you? Unless you have this, it'll be hard a little later because you'll have trouble, you'll have conflicts and stuff, and it's like, it wasn't God's will. You got to really understand inside of your heart that us, two of us together, this is God's will for sure, like 100%. This is the truth. And then the next truth is, if it is from God, He created marriage, He has everything, and He will give you everything needed to build your house, your marriage, and to build everything needed around. So He has enough. This is the truth, basically. You can always lean on Him because He's faithful. He won't just next day like, where is He? No, He's always there. When we seek Him, when we fear Him, He's there for sure. So He has enough wisdom and the resources, and He will give us that for sure. But He gives us all that when we talk to Him. So for us, first and foremost, like we've talked before already, the Bible, when we read, in prayer, when we pray alone and together with each other, that will give us enough, all the tools we'll need and the materials we'll need to build everything. So this is the first thing. Those who pray all the time, I just mentioned that. Those who have fear of God and look for wisdom from Him, and then they pray every day and ask for help, they'll get through anything. Your family will get through anything in life if you have these. If you have enough fear of God and always need for wisdom, and you'll be praying and reading and praying for Him, praying to Him, reading the Word. So that'll be enough. That'll be for sure enough. He'll give you enough wisdom. All this theoretical knowledge is great, but not everyone in the world have that, and He helps them. He helps them for sure. So that is first, and then after that, this is the first kind of a part, and after that is our choices, because life consists of our choices, from little things like what kind of tile we have, the color, what's that thing, the grout. That's a little choice. Who cares? We gotta like it. That's it. Or what kind of curtains, or kind of house. Okay. So, and then the work, and then what kind of coffee I want today. Doesn't matter. I mean, choices are there all the time, and we choose, and we choose, and we choose. So our life is basically consists of choices. But there are certain little things that we can, like I already said, we can put in place that will guard us from being stupid enough to get in somewhere where we shouldn't be. I like that saying, the big doors swing on small hinges. The big things, like something huge, can open a door or close the door on the small little things. So it's the small choices that we actually make and follow that and hold that in life. That will help us and will guard us. The hedges of protection, the hedges that book I mentioned is from Jerry Jenkins. You might know the Left Behind series. Yeah, he wrote that with the other guy. He wrote like 160 books, whatever. So the book is from him, and you will listen through audio or two of them. Like one talk show is with him, like interview with him about the book, and it's great. It's Family Life who did that. You know, the Weekend to Remember in Coeur d'Alene that they do every year. That's the guys. So they interview him on that, and that's a great talk. I re-listened again today. It's super. So there's 2 audio files. Listen to that. So I might overlap whatever they say, so listen to that. But the name of the hedges is from that book, basically, because when I first listened and I read the book, I was like, we don't have that lecture in that green book. So our lecture is going to be actually a little different today. It's those 2 files and a little different stuff. So our choices makes us who we are. So you will be making choices as a couple, like starting with your starting now, and then wedding date, and then your married life. You will make choices every day, every week, every month, and then just because of those choices, you will be a certain couple in a year. You can make different choices and you will become a different couple. Literally different people. So our choices make us who we are a year later, 2 years later, 2 years later, 10 years later. So whatever you will choose yourself, like whatever you decide, we're going to be doing this and this and this. This is kind of what's the right word for that in English? Like направление, path, direction. Thank you. Direction. So your choices will basically set your direction. Where are you going to be in 10 years? Destination is a good word too.
Direction.
They talk about that in like
You're making me laugh. Stop.
when they plan for retirement planning and stock and stuff. They say, well, right now you choose a little things, but in 20 years, but in 40 years, your retirement will be either this or this or this or this. Just because in the beginning you chose this, 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 or that. Okay? If everything works out correctly. But this is what basically I'm saying, but probably a lot more important. Whatever you decide and will be choosing in your life all the time. Patience and being constant, repeating, not going away, will actually get you to that direction. So let's say a patience is a choice, right? When I want to be patient, it's a choice. I can be not, and I can choose patience. So we choose to be patient in life, and that builds our character. So you might feel one day in life that I don't feel that love anymore, or I don't feel that. But if you chose and say, I will be, so love is a choice as well, like a patience kind of example. So love is a choice, just like a patience is a choice. So if you choose to love, you will be acting according to your choice, no matter whatever you feel. Today I feel like I'm doing, and then tomorrow I'm not, but I'm still doing the right stuff. You teach that to kids, and it's hard for them. They're like, oh, sure, we're adults now. So, but when we understand that if I choose something and I keep doing it, it will get me somewhere to the right destination or the wrong destination. So if I choose love, it doesn't matter what I feel. If I choose I'm going there to work and I'm going to be working there for a long time, getting my paycheck every day. Not every day, yeah, sure. Every week or every month. But every day I'll have to do such stuff. And one day you don't feel like going to work, but then you understand, I chose that. So you go there and you work there. And you do your duties and whatever. And the next day is better. And we have better days in the world. So family life is like this, basically. So our choices, I am giving you some kind of examples, basically. Sorry, I'm a little tired with my voice and stuff, so I'm not pronouncing stuff correctly. Whatever you choose is getting you your house, your family house, and your walls around you. So patience and love is your walls, is your house that you're building to make it strong and good. Purity is a choice as well. You understand the word purity. It's the cleanness in the heart. When through my eyes, through my ears, I do not allow anything inside of the heart, basically. When Jesus talks about it, he's like, it's not what we eat that make us holy or not holy, right? Clean or unclean. It's like whatever is coming out of a person's mouth, make him clean or unclean. So it's not just whatever comes in the eyes or in the ears, but whatever I say and I do, make me clean or unclean. So purity is that not the feeling, is that state of my heart when it's pure. So when Christ, you understand, you're all born again, hopefully. You understand Christ made us pure by his blood, by his cross and then resurrection. It happens. And then he is ready to give us purity every day. When we ask, when we stumble, we can get up and ask for forgiveness, keep going. So, but this is a choice. Purity is a choice. And it's not a feeling. And we have to plan for it. for purity. If you'd like to keep your car clean, you wouldn't go on a certain roads, because you understand if I go through this muddy road, on the very end it won't be clean, or your feet or whatever. You understand what I mean? So you plan your road, you plan your how you get there, you plan your what you do, what you listen, what you watch. Then the purity actually is the destination you do, and you reach it. Ephesians talks about it. And I always get this saying from Alistair Begg. You'll be listening to him, hopefully. So he's like, there is something about the evil day in Ephesians 6. It's like the evil day, we're ready for an evil day when we do certain choices. But he's like, we're not, when the evil day comes, we're dead ducks. And the evil day is when three: temptation, desire, and opportunity come walking to us. So temptation, the desire, and the opportunity for something bad, they all meet together, and we see them. It's like, you're dead ducks. If those three came, you're done. Sometimes we have a desire for a sin or something, and there's no opportunity, so nothing happens. But he's like, anybody can fall into the sin when all these three are there. How do we plan there? So this is where when we talk about hedges. And hedges for different couples, for certain couples, are their own. Because we are weak in the certain areas of our life, spiritual life. Some person, you don't get them to movies at all, because it's hard. Through the eyes, it gets in, and the mind get dirty and everything. So you don't watch the movies. For some people, it's hard. Any movies. I mean, I'm not talking about Christian movies. I'm saying it's hard because you never know. So some people, they're really soft in heart. You get them to the right person, they'll talk him to anything. So you understand. You gotta understand yourself, basically. So our past, whatever we can, if you had addiction in the past, like pornography or other stuff, you're prone to that. Basically, if you had that addiction, you gotta watch for a whole life, basically, for pornography to get in. So you put the hedges around. If you understand, you gotta understand yourself, basically. So this is where your work comes in. There are certain things that you actually, the stupid stuff that you don't do. You've seen the guards on the road, on the highways and stuff, those rails on the side, right? Remember when you drive, and there's high-speed roads, and there's a drop. There's a rail sits on the side. It never sits right at the edge. Am I right? Remember that? Have you seen that picture by Tri-Cities somewhere, where the whole semi full of cars got slammed on that rail, and it was hanging like 45 degrees, just basically hanging, looking down there, holding on that rail.
Yeah,
So
they're designed to bend, not break.
yes, exactly. So they bend and they stopped the truck, and that was sitting like, that was a scary picture. Like a couple of years ago, I think I've seen it. The thing saved the guy and the cars, because they just pulled him out and got him out. So that rail never sits on the very end. It always sits a little off the side. So when you understand I can fall into temptation and sin on this certain thing, you set yourself a guardrail, and you just don't do it. You understand yourself, I won't do it. Okay? This when you understand yourself, your weaknesses. And this when it comes, you got to talk to each other. And being honest enough, saying, you know what, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to go there, and in that certain place or where people get together, I don't want to go there because my mind will get me somewhere. So basically, you talk to each other, and around your family, you put those hedges, and you keep doing that. I mean, not just now. You keep doing that when you're already married. But you'll listen to that Hedges lecture, and he's mentioning the Piligrim rule. It's like he was like, I never will go and eat in a restaurant with a person that is not my wife. or my relative. He's like, I just won't. It does not mean I'll just fall in love with any girl I will go in a restaurant. It's just not right. And I'm setting that hedge. I just won't do it. Because first, I understand I'm a fallen person. I'm a human. And second, how does it look? It doesn't look from a side. It doesn't look right.
Yeah, under what occasion are you having dinner alone with another woman when you're married?
You just don't.
No, yeah.
Oh, you mean...
What kind of occasion would it be?
Well, see, some people, when they travel by work and stuff, they have
co-worker? No, that's how it starts.
co-workers and
that's
stuff.
How it starts.
And the co-workers. So see, most of the affairs, they start with co-workers or friends. So how you see friends right now, you're not married yet, and some time ago you weren't even thinking about marriage yet. You had friends of different gender, guys and girls all together, groups and stuff. It should change right now. As soon as you get married, you got to rethink all your friends. Not like, oh, you guys get out now. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, how am I treating people around me and how I relate to people around me, basically. Because that's where normally the enemy snatch people at work and in the friendship circle. The closest friends, normally, the closest friends. Even sometimes relatives. So you got to watch it, basically, and keep your eyes open. Remember that kids in a dangerous forest. Enemy is there. And some people, like, you never thought about it or think about it. But some people there are really hungry, needy, hurt, and they need you. So, you'll listen more in that lecture or that talk. But basically, and this is the talk between two of you. Like I said, I can tell you little things here and there, but mostly this is your choice. And you talk and say, we don't do this anymore. And with friends, yeah, we can go together, but I won't go myself. Or, for example, that guy who's talking, he's like, when somebody is picking up from airport, I don't want that to be just a girl. Either the guy or 12 people. And he's like, people give me bad, interesting looks and stuff. He's like, what's your problem? And he's like, I'm all for doing that and paying that price. I want to save my marriage. He's like, my marriage is more for me than this little inconvenient things I want to put in place. Deliberately put in place just to be safe. And not just to be safe. Imagine you girls that your guy does that. Just to be safe, just for you. This is a great thing. This is great trust building thing. When you understand he does that because he wants to be faithful to me and just guard himself all the time. So this is awesome. The phones, it's not there in the lecture, but this is where a lot of trouble comes lately. And I'm not saying all the romance start happening through the phones. That too, yes. It used to be одноклассники. Remember when it just came out? It was a big thing that somebody just dropped their spouse and run to the other side of the world. It really happened and stuff. So, but what I'm saying is, a lot of dirt gets into the soul through this. You got to watch it, because enemy understands that if he'll just jump out of you. On you, you will kind of be, oh no. But little things here and there, a little video, a little something, a little song, music. If those who understand and listen to music, watch out the music you listen to. Some of them is just not too bad, but it's a little up to the feeling side or sensual side and stuff, and it gets in just a little today, and then a little in a week. And then a little in 2 weeks, and then it builds up. So purity is a choice. And this thing is a great enemy of purity. So watch your phone. Watch you're looking at. And watch how you interact with people there as well. Because, like I just mentioned, we dump a lot of information into Instagram, Facebook, and whatever. Facebook is outdated, right? Anyways, I don't know what's
on the
up
way
now.
out.
On the way out, whatever. whatever the next thing is, it will be tomorrow. Instagram, whatever that would be. Next thing they invent. We just dump too much personal information there. And people read that, and we're so used to it. I would say, rethink that. At first, I already probably mentioned that before. Do you know how much time you spend on this? Do you have an app that takes the time?
Yeah, it's
There you go.
built
Some people
into
do.
most phones now.
So don't do 8 hours a day like most Americans do. Literally, 8 hours a day. That's a work day. Don't do that. Don't do 2 hours. Why? Do you need that? Those 2 hours. Imagine how much you can be accomplishing 2 hours a day. I mean, come on, give me 1 hour. I would love that. I don't have 1 hour extra. I would love that. So just basically watch. If it steals your time, it's already doing quite a bit. But it's a great enemy of purity. So watch what is there and gets into you. This is a great thing. Emotional hedges is how we interact, how we fight or conflict or whatever. You never put that hedge on. We never use a D word. You know the D word?
Divorce.
The divorce, yes. We, in our family, make a decision. Because when I'm saying hedges, write those down. We're not saying the D word, ever. Doesn't matter how hard we fight, or we can't speak anymore, or whatever. We just don't use the D word. There's not an option. If we're that strong and sturdy, then that's a hedge. Enemy won't get there through this. Even in angry or whatever, we're not saying that. That's a good hedge. Intimate and personal talks. We kind of mentioned that already. I'm coming back to it. At work or friends, especially when you're not really happy with your other one, and you're talking to somebody else, never mention that to somebody else at first. Your friends or whatever. Make peace first, really good peace. Then you can talk about it. Or you don't have to talk about your intimate stuff with somebody else. As soon as you really kind of start thinking of someone more, liking it, to discuss things, to spend time with somebody else, that's a huge red flag already, right there. So think about it. It can hit anybody. You're right now thinking, no, me, never. It can hit anybody. And if you understand that about yourself, you're already in a better position. If you think, never me, watch out. Because right now, of course not. But you never know how you feel or how you be, who you're going to be in a year or two. And little things, like I said, subtle. Subtle stuff comes in very, when we don't understand or keep track, or it just appear. We have a saying, I've heard a saying in my work that says, stuff doesn't just come out of nowhere. Things, cars, pedestrians, they don't come out of nowhere. They come out of where you didn't look. So you look then. That way the enemy won't get on you from out of nowhere, because it always comes from somewhere. We just didn't plan that and look at it. And don't be too scared, like oh no, are we going to survive? No, you're going to survive. You're going to be all right. Like I say, if you love the Lord, if you have fear of Him, if you always need wisdom and you pray, you'll be good. And you talk and you pray together, you'll be fine. Those who pray together stay together, and it's not just a saying; it's the truth. But you'll save yourself a lot of headache and a lot of danger and trouble if you'll be looking around and putting some practices around yourself. So nobody will get your husband out or your wife out, and you will stumble over something, and you're like, now what? Basically, from what I normally say, this is kind of the most of it. I'll get you a lot of homework because it will be for 2 weeks. Next lecture, I won't ask you for homework. We have an intimate lecture about intimate life and stuff. Сашка Прян будет тут. So I won't ask you for homework. So you have 2 weeks until the the graduation Wednesday, test Wednesday, to listen to that. So there is enough. I can actually go to my drive thing and tell you. Where is it? There it is. Come on. So there's 2 files of planting hedges and dangers of flirting. That's 2 of them. It says 0127, 128. So those kind of the talk I mentioned. This stuff you just listen to. They talk really good. You can skip first 2 minutes and last 4 minutes of each lecture because it's kind of a introduction and finishing. You'll see what I mean. But they're pretty short. They're not long. There's also a file that I actually would call a real lecture thing, and that goes for like in 50-some minutes. Ideally, it would be great if you would come and sit together and listen to that and have one of these in front of you. This is kind of I created a little work page and a little, I don't know the right word for that. I have it also in that file. You can download it as a Word file and print it. So it's available in that folder as well. So when you listen to Overcoming Temptation, basically it's a preaching. Have you heard about Alistair Begg? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a Scottish. Is he Scottish?
Irish, I think.
No, I think he's more from Scotland.
Scottish, yeah.
Anyways, he has a great accent. I love him, basically. Personally, I love listening to him. But he has longer sentences and a language. You can it goes. I mean, it's nice. I mean, I love it. If it's so hard and too hard for you to listen to it, you can download a transcript. There's a transcript over there, and you can read along too. It's up to you. But ideally, it would be great if you could listen, get an hour. I would even give you a pass for like a Sunday and go and sit and listen to it if you want to, like Sunday evening, whatever. If you're in church, in choir, then you can do that. But what I'm saying is, it would be great because you would be listening and filling this. There's a little fill in the blank on the page, just so it goes along. On the bottom, it has some interesting words that he actually. I like those meanings that's there. This is basically the talk about Joseph's temptation when he was tempted with Potiphar's wife. Remember? So it's interesting. His idea of that would kind of, you can see that one story, an example, and spread it over your life. How the temptation comes into your life. And what do we do? What do I do with myself personally? And 2 of us, how do we put a good guard around so it won't come to us? And when it comes, like he says that in the beginning, temptation is just a temptation. It's not a sin yet. Whenever something comes, it's okay. But what we do with that either put us to purity or not, to sin or not to sin. You know what I mean? So that would be great. That would be great. There is also deception, restoration, and healing, and that's 3-part. That says, okay, I missed the word again. Свидетельство, testimony. Yeah, the testimony of a girl. They were on a mission trip, and she almost ran out of her from her husband on the mission trip. So it happened to anybody. So it's kind of you can listen to that. You don't have to, but you can listen to that too if you want to. And there's also Chris Faber live show on it as well if you would feel like listening to them. So I know it's a lot of stuff to listen, but I would say you can listen to Planting Hedges and Dangers of Flirting whenever you like. They're pretty short. But that one I would really kind of say find the one evening and 1 hour you can sit down. You can drive. You can drive for an hour somewhere, half an hour there, half an hour back, and listen on the way. But it would be great because you can discuss stuff like this and see how do we help each other. How can we help right now each other to overcome temptations whenever they come? Okay? Because you need to stay pure until the day of marriage and after that. So, and that's the choice that you make. I will make it for you. But you're choosing basically the destination, the direction where your life going to be. Where are you going to be a year from here, 2 years from here, 10 years from here? That's your choice, basically. Two of you. And kind of each one of you. Okay? So, anything you would want to discuss, ask right now and say something. What do you feel like? Does that ring a bell, basically? What do you think? What do you think around us? For me, year after year, I started this lecture like 7 years ago. It wasn't an original lecture plan. I kind of developed that more and more in about 7 years probably. Since that, every year, I see a worsening. Just how people look, just the way they dress, every year. And I mean, I have 3 boys. I got to teach them too. What do you do with your eyes when you're like, oh, ooh, come on. I mean, really, literally, because people dress like, sorry, like animals. But really, I mean, they don't think. They have passion and they want to fulfill that. That's it. That's what people want. They have nothing else. And that's unfortunate. Don't be those people and know what to do with your desire, with your passions, with your eyes, with your ears. So watch out. Basically, watch what you're watching. If you're watching the movie, have an agreement with 2 of you. We're watching this and we're both feeling safe and all right. Because you got to watch that really good right now. A lot of people go down spiritually week after week. More and more down because they watch stuff they shouldn't watch. Not super hard, super bad. No, enough to get them down spiritually more and more and more. And I know what I'm talking about. People in church, not whoever. So don't be people like this. Choose your family values so you won't go down spiritually. You'll go up spiritually, helping each other. And that's up to you. That's totally up to you. The house that you're building and the hedge that you're building, you're growing. It's totally up to you. So, may God bless you guys for that. Okay, so let's pray together.